Hi there, Dinh. So I'm happy to see this essay from you. It's so important to write in order to practice for IELTS, but not only to write, but also get feedback for that writing. So good work with this. Now let's take a look and see what you've written. The topic is international marketing. You're supposed to discuss two sides of the issue and give your opinion. So let's see what you did with that. Okay, so in this day and age, the growth of international marketing is one which bears some considerations. Okay, this is not the right spelling of the word bears. You wanted B-E-A-R-S. While this kind of advertisement is supported by some people because of its advantages in circulating ideas, foreign languages, or different culture, others are afraid that this will affect the domestic industry. Maybe domestic economy instead of industry. Perhaps that would have been a better word. It is the opinion of this writer that the weight of the evidence is on the side of those who prefer global marketing. Okay, that's nice. Okay, fine. On the one hand, I would have preferred here with the. On the one hand, worldwide marketing recently has become the most effective method of spreading. First of all, this should be an E, not an A. So it has become the most effective method of spreading a raft of ideas or innovations to every corner of the world. Moreover, okay, hold on. Now, before you get into this moreover, you need to expand on it, all right? Or maybe you don't mean moreover here, because moreover is kind of like, okay, now I'm going on to my next point. And I think you wanted a different cohesive device here. So let me read the rest of your sentence. Moreover, idea is not everything, but languages, various traditions, and economic trend are all part of the equation. All right, this has confused me a little bit, but let me move on and tell you what I think. Therefore, the next generation of not only developed countries, but developing or even underdeveloped countries will also have a chance to become international citizens as we are in the midst of globalization. Consequently, the gap between the poor and the rich countries decreases while the global economy accelerates. Okay, so now that we've read the entire paragraph, let's look back at this. Necessary and economical form of education in addition to spreading ideas, language, and culture. Where did you talk about that? To be honest with you, you talked about spreading ideas or innovations. This confused me. So, this confused me, and you know what else has happened, Dinh? You haven't expanded on anything, really. I think I understand what you're trying to tell me here, but you haven't really supported any of these arguments, so let me show you what I mean. You tell me that it spreads a raft of ideas or innovations to every corner of the world. So what I really expected here was you to explain to me what you mean, that through international marketing, new markets can learn about, just give me an example about like the language or about the spread of culture or something, or new concept, new innovation. Just give me a little more, develop it, just stretch out your idea a little more. Okay? I mean, it's all just a little vague, and I wanted it a little more specific. And then, yeah, I mean, then you go into this again, like you're just continuing with this somewhat vague idea, but they will have a chance to become international citizens. Okay, what does that have to do with anything due to globalization? I mean, I don't know. It's a little vague. The whole thing for me is a little vague. So I wanted you to address the topics and the ideas in the task a little more directly. Okay, so moving on, and this too as well. I felt like this was not really relevant at all. I mean, we're talking about the spread of ideas, culture, language, so talking about the gap between the rich and poor here to me is somewhat irrelevant. Alright, moving on then. On the other hand, some opinions suggest that this method concurrently deteriorates the domestic industry, which holds No. Which is responsible, or which holds responsibility for unemployment. Now, what holds responsibility? The domestic industry? That's not what you mean. You mean that this method is responsible for unemployment, or this, and I wouldn't even say this method either, this, because global marketing isn't a method, it's a concept, it's something else, but it's not a method. So what happens with your syntax here is it's not clear who or what holds responsibility for this. So on the other hand, some opinions suggest that global marketing is responsible for unemployment as it deteriorates domestic industries, or I don't think deteriorates is the right word, as it damages. However, this thought can be argued by the fact that foreign predatory companies attempt to invade. Why are you giving me a however here? All right, let me see. Let me keep working with this. So this thought can be argued by the fact that foreign predatory companies attempt to invade the country's industry, okay, apostrophe S, by international marketing is a perfect chance for businesses owned by citizens to study new advertising strategies. Okay, so what you're saying basically is, all right, you're basically explaining why this idea is wrong. I think that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to say that, yeah, you know, I think what you're trying to say is that this idea is not valid because these countries can learn new advertising strategies. Okay, in addition, this apparently creates a more competitive market that develops domestic economy. Okay. The reason why I don't agree with this is because you're supposed to discuss both sides, and I don't really feel like you've done that. The only thing you really did here was just say that it deteriorates the domestic industry. You needed to analyze it a little more, like why would people say that? Why would anyone hold this view? That's what you need to, you shouldn't have gone straight into this refuting of the argument. I mean, that's not what you need to do right there. You needed to, since you've been asked to discuss both views or both sides, you need to do that, and you haven't done that enough for me. Okay, so let's move on to the conclusion. To sum up, although the invasion of worldwide, it's not an invasion of worldwide advertising. So it should just be, although worldwide advertising can affect the country's apostrophe S industry marginally, this will be a catalyst to improve the country's apostrophe S current status, not just socially but economically. Okay, fine, but again, it never asked about economically, did it? It said economical form of education, but it's really education, ideas, language, and culture. So you talked about that a little bit by socially, but you're not really supposed to mention financially how it benefits, really. Okay, Dinh. So while there's some nice elements to your essay, the structure is well done. But the task response for me had some problems. It wasn't developed enough, and I didn't agree with the way you developed your second body paragraph. You were supposed to discuss both sides, so you really had to analyze why the other side thinks what they do. Okay, and then the other thing we need to talk about is that since you are generally in favor of global marketing, then this has to go second. Okay, always put the side that we agree with last, not first. So while there are some good elements to this essay, there are some problems with it in terms of task response, some grammar, and also, now that I look at it again with the order of the paragraphs, which affects obviously your coherence and cohesion. So I would really recommend to continue working with us so that we can kind of iron out these problems with your essays. Okay? You can continue working with us and get feedback either through essay corrections, or I would definitely recommend the online course to help you with the development of ideas. You'll get a lot of input and information about that through the course. So please do check it out. I hope to see more essays from you. I hope to work with you again. So good luck with your writing.